The stock car racing season once again kicks off near the beaches of Daytona, and it's the ARCA Racing Series that will christen the 2.5-mile super speedway after its recent facelift. That might not be good news for Bobby Gerhardt, who won on the old surface 6 times, but it may level the playing field for the younger drivers, some making their first ever start at this historic facility. For Mary-Eve Defoe, this will be her first race ever in a stock car on an oval. Well, 18-year-old pole winner Ty Dillon, grandson to Cup owner Richard Childress, will be making his first Daytona International start. And now, to get it all underway, let's get the engines fired. We go trackside for today's command.
Race fans, it is time. Please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Area Sales and Export Manager for Parts Depot, Daryl Torgerson, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen and ladies, start your engines!
43 stock cars come to life. It's about time to drop the green flag on the 2011 season.
It starts with months of preparation. It starts when the tires hit the asphalt. It starts with the engines roar.
ARCA drivers, start your engines!
All right, you fired up.
It starts with the drop of the green flag.
Ready? Green flag, green flag.
Green flag in the air, we're underway.
It starts with Daytona.
The world center of racing, Daytona International Speedway. Bobby Gerhardt, he will win his 6th super speedway race from Daytona International Speedway.
The ARCA Racing Series, presented by Menards, starts now.
Welcome to the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. It's the Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200 from the Daytona International Speedway on speed. Gorgeous afternoon here in Daytona Beach, Florida. 54 degrees, partly cloudy skies, but a great night for racing. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, and Darrell Waltrip with you for the first race of the 2011 season, and it happens right here on a new racing surface, but a historic facility. And how important is experience when you come to a racetrack like this?
Well, you nailed it with the historic. I love the history of this series. Started race here in 1964. John Markham, Bill France Sr., great friends. Actually, Bill France suggested the name ARCA for the series. You got Frank Kimmel, who's a 9-time champion in the field, experience. Bobby Gerhardt, a 6-time winner of this race in the field. And then you've got Billy Venturini, who his dad won 2 championships. He's got a pretty strong force going here today, too.
And all 5 of those cars, DW, in the top 11 qualifying positions. Very, very optimistic going into this race. But we talk about experience. We have 2 18-year-olds on the front row making their first start ever at Daytona. Ty Dillon, Richard Childress' grandson, on the pole for his first ever race here at Daytona. Kyle Fowler, another 18-year-old in one of those Billy Venturini cars on the outside of the front row. We know they can do it for 1 lap, but a lot goes on here in 80 laps, DW.
Yeah, and it's never going to be any easier. The track is repaved. It's got tons of grip. All you got to do is hold it wide open and don't hit anything.
Well, we've got plenty of experience down on pit road. We'll start with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, when you were talking about Ty Dillon, you look at his numbers. Guess what? On his very first race in ARCA, he won the pole and finished 2nd. His next 2 starts, he went to victory lane. Those are great numbers, but it's nothing like coming to Daytona. And his grandfather, Richard, just leaned into the window right before they rolled off and said, let me tell you something, son. It is an honor to run at this track, and if you win here, it's something you'll never forget. Jim?
And Ray, 80 times in Super Speedway competition in the ARCA Racing Series, Frank Kimmel has led a lap. Matter of fact, 2,645 laps. He has yet to lead the final lap here at the World Center of Racing in his 20th try at Daytona. He starts back in 26th, but he was the fastest guy in happy hour this morning. And his brother Bill told me, the crew chief, we've got a good race car. May not be the great qualifier, but we got a really solid car, and they're hungry for their first win, believe it or not, here at Daytona, guys.
Thanks, Jim. Want to take a look at our starting grid brought to us by Lucas Oil. On the pole, 18-year-old Ty Dillon. Outside of him, the 15 of Kyle Fowler, also 18 years old.
Unbelievable. Steve Arpin, a 3-time winner in the series last year. Billy Venturini said, I think he's our main horse. He's in row 2.
Yeah, you got Bobby Gerhardt, who has won this race 6 times. He's not happy about this new paving job. He'd like to left those big bumps in the track.
Hal Martin is another one of the Venturini entries into this field, and they expect Hal Martin to do great things today as well.
Absolutely. How about Ricky Carmichael? Now, Ricky had a top 10 finish here last year. Going to run a full truck season this year for Turner Motorsports, looking for a good run here at Daytona.
Kevin Swindell back there in that 98 car. Somebody to keep an eye on.
Dakota Armstrong, another one of the young drivers coming into this series and working their way up.
Won at Talladega last year. He has a win on a super speedway.
Jason Bowles had a lot of success earlier this year already on a racing surface in stock cars, winning at Irwindale in the showdown.
How about a pair of ladies back in row number 12, Milko Duna from IndyCar Racing, and Mary-Eve Defoe making her first ever ARCA start.
Kind of nice they start side by side.
And imagine that, behind them, 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel. As we just heard, Frank has never won at this racetrack, looking to check that off of his bucket list.
Chad McCumbee back in row number 14, a 2-time winner in the ARCA Racing Series. Look for him to move towards the front.
Daryl Basham just lucky to be here, Phil. I mean, a shop burned down. They lost everything. A bunch of people jumped in, helped him get a car to bring down here, and he's in the field.
We talked to him on the way to the driver's meeting. He said, I've never been more excited. This is the best car I've ever had. I borrowed it, but it's the best car I've ever had here.
Good job of borrowing a good car.
And again, 43 cars starting. Scott Stencil will have that 43rd position for today's race. I want to take a look at our Russell Stover track description and race analysis.
You know, DW, the numbers look a lot like they did here in the past, but this racetrack is nothing like it used to be. 31-degree banking, that's all still the same. The trial was 18 degrees, but it's a new surface. There aren't any bumps here.
No, this surface is going to lure these guys into doing things that they've never done before. You can go places and do things that you've never been able to do here before. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be treacherous as well.
Look at that pit window there, right there.
Yep. 55 to 65.
Daryl, 55 to 65 laps here. This is only an 80-lap race.
You guys talked about the new surface. We heard from some of the drivers in between practice sessions here about what they thought about this surface.
Unbelievable. It's not the same Daytona at all. It doesn't feel the same. It's not bouncing around. Really, really nice.
I think it's going to give a little bit of confidence to some of the guys that, you know, they can do it. And there was a lot of bumps here last time, and you had to be careful when you hit somebody. Well, there's not any this year, so I think there's going to be a lot more beating and banging.
This is a perfect surface. It doesn't wear the tires down at all. We ran 30 laps yesterday in practice, and the mold marks were still on the tires, which is amazing.
I thought it's where I kind of missed old surface. It took a while for someone maybe to get accustomed to what it took to be comfortable, but I don't know, it's going to make it for an interesting race.
It's going to make for real exciting racing. We're going to be in a lot tighter groups. I think you're going to see a lot more 2- or 3-wide racing. I hope to God we don't see any 4-wide racing, because I don't think there's much room for it out there.
To me, it's really smooth. There's a small bump in 3 and 4, but that just gives a little bit of character. It's got a lot of grip, and it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get out there with all the cars and do some drafting.
And Ty Dillon grabs the Menard's Pole Award presented by Ansel. Now, he's done this before. Ty Dillon has been out in front of the field here in ARCA, and he's also won races. Ty Dillon won the last 2 races of the 2010 season, so he has experience in the ARCA Racing Series, but not at Daytona.
He has what you need. He has a fast car.
And we want to take a look at a few different drivers in this field, a closer look as we do our speed spotlight.
Rick, let me get it started with car number 12. Mary-Eve Defoe is probably a name most stock car fans have never heard of. But if you watch the ARCA Series in 2011, you'll hear a lot about her, because earlier today they announced that this team and this driver will go after the championship, running all the races with a brand new sponsor, VR12. Jim?
And Ray, returning to the series, the highest finisher in the points in the 52 machine is Tom Hester III. He ran to 15 top 10 finishes last year and was in the championship hunt to the final race. The 52 machine is owned by Ken Schrader. They are also going for the championship. Phil?